Okay, Andrew, I want to talk about trigger leads.
Oh, again?
Yes, I do. Again, listen, we just had a story, and I love it. It was a great story. It was by Katie Jensen on our staff. And the biggest thing, we know everybody's whining and complaining about trigger leads. They want legislation, and there's a lot of folks out there going, this is awful, this is terrible. What we set out to do, what Katie set out to do was like, okay, this is amazing. Everybody's against this. Let's see if there's any proof that trigger leads are bad. And you know what we found? Nothing. She found nothing. Okay. She talked to AIM wouldn't talk about it except to say it's a priority.
AIM,
we didn't AIM wouldn't talk about that.
Resource?
No, it's
not.
But listen, the FTC didn't have anything. The CFPB could not find any complaints coming in about trigger leads. Could not find any. We talked to Valerie Saunders at NAM about this, who's leading this effort, and she acknowledged we don't have any evidence that trigger leads are hurting consumers. That's what she said. She said we don't have any evidence that trigger leads are hurting anybody.
I have plenty of evidence. I
have anecdotes. You have people complaining.
There's still
a few
evidence.
People complaining. That's not.
These are not data. I understand.
You have people whining online. That's not the same as being really affected, putting in complaints. If it was as bad as everyone says, there would be actual complaints to government agencies. You'd be able to quantify some of this. There's no quantification. And I don't disagree. You're hardly going to get a word in edgewise on this one because you're so wrong. I don't disagree that some people don't happen to like this. I also don't disagree that there are a lot of folks who say, listen, trigger leads are an important way to get us started, to get us going, to get new loan originators, and consumers have benefited from them. Not every consumer, just as not every consumer. Just not every consumer.
You
has
the trigger lead whores have said actually that consumers are benefited.
I love the way you want to take people who have
reputable mortgage companies.
I think our stories are full of them who have used some of these things here. I think it's interesting that AIM decided to put somebody who used trigger leads as their new president and CEO. But hold on, I'm not done with my thing here.
You're not great at decision making.
You can't suddenly turn around and go out and say, let's change legislation. Let's put government rules on this without any evidence that there's actually harm being happened here. Because all that leads to is, the nanny state, the whole issue of let's regulate absolutely everything. And it's really funny. We need data, and there isn't.
Data,
so we've jumped right ahead to let's forget the need for data. Let's just get right to legislating things. We don't even know what we're legislating.
We need to take actually these little pieces of evidence that we have and collect it actually and start.
Anecdotes are not evidence. They're not evidence. You know what? The police don't use anecdotes to try people on. They take it, then they go and they investigate, they get data, they get actual facts. There aren't any. No one we talk to could come up with anything. The people who are putting in the legislation because they want to bow to industry bigwigs, I suppose, are saying we're going to put this in, love us and give us campaign dollars. But there is no evidence that this actually hurts people. Now, there's a lot of folks who may say, my clients are getting inundated, it's annoying, it's terrible,
70,
it's harassment.
Calls.
But you know what? If it was as bad across the country, enough to warrant that the government gets in and puts new legislative rules on things, then we would see actual complaints somewhere. We would be able to quantify this before we codify rules against it. You don't just go and go, I think I'm just going to make up some new rules because I feel like there's a problem here.
You don't do anything off of
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for agreeing with me. Then the other part of this is when you look at the legislation that has been introduced.
You notice he's wrong.
When you look at the legislation that has been proposed, I'm not sure it's going to go anywhere, but it's been proposed. All it states, it doesn't actually ban trigger leads. You know what it says? It says trigger leads are bad for everybody except me. If I already am using it, if this is a client that's done business with me, then trigger leads are fine, which is terrible because nobody owns these customers. So you do not own their customer. And I know that there's the issue of do you have an existing business relationship?
Exactly.
No, you don't have that. That's not the issue. Mortgages in this world
remembers
move.
all the things I say.
I do remember it.
Repeating my words.
Because I already know where you're wrong. I'm trying to save our viewers time. Because why listen to your pablum when it doesn't make any real sense? It doesn't matter. In the mortgage industry, it's not like if I'm the consumer, the guy that's servicing my thing now, I don't have a
But they already have your information.
Business just because they have my.
Yeah, but you're not agreeing.
No.
To 20, 30, 40, 50 other lenders.
I didn't agree that I had to sign a document just the same way when I sign up for my Apple iTunes account or my Apple Music account that there's a whole list of things I have to agree to that I didn't read, that I didn't know that I agreed to. The same thing happens when you're signing for the stuff. I don't know that all of a sudden my servicing is going to change 3 or 4 times, and I don't know who that person is. So, now, if you're saying that the only reason they can do it is because they happen to have my information, well, guess what? Once I've signed on to look for a new mortgage, and that hits that credit bureau, they've got my information too. So I guess we've got a business relationship and it's perfectly okay. I'm not saying that I like them. I'm not saying that I endorse them, but I am saying that in a free market, you don't go in and take them out without some evidence. And what we've got is we've got an industry gunning for these things in a way that wants to put them out of business without or restrict them. And what it is anti-competitive. It's not pro-consumer, it's anti-competitive. And I don't think that that's the way we ought to go. I think that if you've got a good product and you're a good salesperson, you will get in front of the people you need to get in front of. And I think the consumers need the option of having people in front of them. Now, it may be annoying. It may be annoying when they get there, but at some point people go, well, you know what? That was actually a pretty good deal. I saved a few $1,000s because this guy came into that.
It doesn't happen. Yeah,
you know what you're doing? You're saying it doesn't happen. Well, guess what? It's anecdotal, and that's good enough.
Listen,
if I say it does, then it's good enough. Because that's what you're saying. If it's good enough.
Person defending trigger leads.
That's not.
It's just as simple as that. Look, you
don't have to defend the trigger leads. You don't have to defend the trigger leads. What you have to do is say, if we're going to legislate against them, we've got to have something that shows that there's actually a problem here. And no one can show that except they think it. And you know what? We can all think anything we want.
Let me ask you a question. Do you feel that something should change?
Do you think? No. Do you think?
You don't think anything should change? You're happy actually the way it's set up right now.
I think
you apply for a mortgage. All of your stuff can be shared with anyone and everyone.
Data that says that there are actual complaints from consumers.
Can someone please get this guy some data?
Please.
I mean, so
please.
Listen.
And when you do, and we can see it, and it's verifiable, and it's not just I had a client who was upset.
Yeah.
Actual data, actual complaints to actual agencies. Look, here's the easiest thing, and we don't have much longer. We're way over time here. But listen, the CFPB loves rules. It loves coming down on mortgage lenders. It loves coming down on originators and banks. It loves doing it. It's its whole purpose. It's the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, not the Lender Bank Protection Bureau. It's the consumer one. And if anybody would be gun-ho over this, it would be them, and they can't find any complaints. And I'm going to leave it at that. Until we actually find evidence, data to do this, going after trigger leads is bad. Because once you start banning one thing just because you don't happen to like it, what else gets banned? And you suddenly can't do this stuff.
So,
and I'm going to declare victory.
In the comments, I'm going to put Vince's cell phone. So will you please spam him with what it would be like the equivalent of...
I get it already. Don't worry. That's right.
For more on these and all of today's top stories, go to nationalmortgageprofessional.com.